Welcome back to Cities Decoded, where we break down what happens when artificial intelligence meets the nation's influential cities. I'm, as always, your host, Sam, and I'm joined by Elif, who is a regular contributor in the community AI space. Elif, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing today and why? Quickly.
I'm doing great. It's been a quiet Sunday. I haven't left my house except for walking my dog. Loving the Zen vibes. How about you?
Great. I would rate that as a 10. Not to put a number in your mouth, but that sounds pretty nice to me. I I would say I'm an 8. I feel like today in New York it was really good weather, which I assume that means in DC it was good weather too. I feel like usually our weathers are pretty aligned. And I think I'm actually gonna write a piece after this about how now I feel like, okay, I get why I'm living in this city. It just, you know how you have those days where things just kind of come together, like you're walking along the tourist, but you don't feel like a tourist. That was what I was feeling today. So that was pretty awesome. And I will be writing about it. If you've already enjoyed listening to this podcast episode, we are nominated for an award and you can help us win. So our podcast, Mindful Notions by Sam H. Lee, is currently nominated for a Golden Lobe, which is an awards organization based in the UK. And the instructions on how to vote will be in the description. It will take less than 30 seconds. So far, people have been using multiple emails to vote multiple times, and there haven't been an issue. So if you're feeling inclined, doesn't seem like there's been an issue yet. So we're gonna keep promoting it as is until we hear otherwise. The voting will be closing May 4th, which is in I think about a week or 2 weeks. So if you have a second and if you enjoy what I've been saying, what Elif's been saying, what anyone else on this pod has been saying, we would really appreciate it. And the instructions will be in the description. Okay, so Elif, today we're doing a bit of story time. We both do a lot of community and tech work. You're currently based in DC. I used to be based in DC and now I'm in New York. And we were talking last week about how we've seen some things. We've seen some things in the past few years, not only as the tech AI communities grow, but also as we grow as community builders. So any notable stories that you would like to share on just what you've been seeing out in the field?
I think we can start with our story of how we started doing community events and why I personally think that in the day and age of AI taking over the world, and everybody's talking about upskilling, learning new skills, the importance of doing it in a community. Let me start with telling the story of how I started doing events with the AI Collective. So I saw, you know how I'm obsessed with this question of what does it mean to be human in the age of AI? And
Yes.
From a philosophical perspective, from a more humane perspective. And I saw the AI Collective's LinkedIn post. I think it was Catherine, and I just showed
Catherine
up.
McMillan, current COO of AI Collective.
Exactly, she's excellent. So I saw her post, and I just showed up at this event with my camera in my hand.
Show it off, girl. Show it off.
Anyone who knows me would know that I don't go out of my house without my camera.
No,
I just showed up. And then I asked there, can I take pictures? While I think somebody was, you were presenting. It was Notion
yes,
event.
this was a Notion event. This was a
Yeah.
Notion ambassador-led event. Yes, continue.
Yes, and I started taking pictures, and I sent the pictures to you and Catherine afterwards. And I did it again, and I did it third time, and I did it fourth time. And after a while, I was like, you know, these people are really cool, and they're doing something very valuable. So then I came, and I was like, I'm here to help. I can do this. I can do that. I'm happy to do this. And you know, is there space for me? And I remember both Catherine, Jabari, and you were like, thank you for not just coming to us and being like, okay, how can I help? Because that's such a big and vague question. And I get that asked that question all the time whenever we do events. People come and they're like, oh, I'd love to help. How can I help? I'm like, what do you want to do? Because community is a little bit about what you can offer matches with what the community needs or the organizers need at that point in time. So my number, the gist of this story is to know your strengths and be willing to show up and offer those as a gift to the community.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. So thank you for recounting. I could vouch for Elif that that is how the flow happened. I'm curious what you would say to someone who hears that, who's not really in community or AI world, and they say that sounds really transactional. Like, what can I do to help versus what can you give me? But I don't feel that way with community. I mean, of course, there's transactions going on, but when I think about bad transactional natures. I think about certain types of networking. I think about certain types of deals. I think about just caring about a certain outcome and not the people involved, all which are not very community based. So, can you make that distinction for someone who might not know it as well? Like, how do transactions work in community in a way that actually uplifts the group rather than makes it feel very artificial
Mm.
or not serving the broader group?
Mm. I I don't resonate with that being transactional, to be honest with you, because everybody's kind of putting something forth. Like if I imagine if we're living in a village back in the day, there is a baker, there is a person who is up, there's a butcher, there is a hairdresser, there's these are services that everybody needs, and it's similar. I receive more than I give, 100%. And everybody thinks that I'm super busy because on social media you see that I'm involved in all these events.
You
And
keep yourself busy. You do keep yourself
I do,
occupied.
but I keep saying the majority of that's the beauty of doing things in community, because Brian chimes in, Catherine comes in, and Jabari takes this one, and it happens so much more smoothly than if I were to do it on my own, or with a group of
Yeah,
people that I selected. So everybody puts what they can offer to table without really thinking about. I mean, obviously, there is some transaction. You receive something in return, but I think that those intentions show off, and you don't do it if you are consistently showing up after third, fourth, fifth time. It's pretty obvious that you're not doing it to extract, but you are doing it for a transaction. And I advocate for like a giving and taking, and everything is life is give and take. I don't believe in free work either. If you are giving something, you should receive something in back for it to be sustainable, and there is nothing
right.
wrong with that.
I agree. And I think we could talk a bit more about the event series we both have planned in the past. I could start with a Notion event series that you caught. I think either the second or third event in them. And I think this has been something I haven't seen as much, but this idea of putting an event in a sequence that makes sense. So,
Mm.
or multiple events in a sequence that makes sense. I feel like more and more I see really great events that feel a bit more like one-offs or on an annual basis or a not super consistent basis. But I think something both me and you're actively doing it, but I've done it before, about this idea where we do an event kind of across events. And for me,
Mm.
that was with the launch of Notion Mail, which was last May. And I had the idea to not just do one kickoff event like this is Notion Mail and now everybody go forth, but I did 3 events across May, June, and July. And I started with, of course, the basics of what Notion Mail is, demoing and all of that. And then the second event wasn't even really Notion Mail focused that much. It was more Notion broadly of using different Notion features to basically act out an escape room. For those who don't know, an escape room is a maze that some people find fun and they pay a lot of money for to celebrate someone's birthday or an occasion or not, just for fun. And you're usually with a small group and there's different clues. Like I said, some people find it. I find it fun. Do you find it fun? Do you find escape rooms fun? Or
I've never been to one.
okay,
I
so
mean,
the
I
next
I
one.
get the thrill though. I understand why people enjoy it.
I feel like you'd be good at it because
Yeah.
you're perceptive. You would like see something that someone else wouldn't, and then that would be that would be where we need to go. I tend to just like push things around, and it's a trial and error situation. And then the last event, I actually got a Notion Mail product manager to come virtually chime in and talk with the DC community. Was that the one you attended? Like the one we had the guy on the screen?
Yes.
That one? Yeah, Gilbert. Yeah, Gilbert's great. I actually met him in person after I joined, and that was also a very full circle moment. But something I wanted to ask you is, I felt very burnt out after the second one. I was
Yeah.
like, this is a lot. I see why people don't do it. So that is my first question to you, and also any thoughts you had on the Notion Mail series based on what you saw. But I think one thing that prevents people from doing even an event, but let alone an event series, is feeling tired, because across those 3 months, a lot of life happened as well outside. So yeah, how do you not get burnt out when you do series? Because I think it's a different mountain than just doing an event and it being done afterwards.
Honestly, I actually find series to be easier,
Okay.
funny enough, because, or maybe like one-off events sporadically feels a little bit more hectic and you're trying to get things done last minute. But so with the AI Collective DC chapter, we started the series around AI and mental health, which is like, I'm so proud of it and so grateful and happy to be part of it. So we were going to start in January, but then we couldn't really find a good venue for it, so we started in February. So we've done our third session last week. This was around AI and intimacy, how AI is changing our intimate relationships. And we brought a sex therapist into the room, and we partnered with a group of therapists called Therapists in Tech. Shout out to Gina. She's excellent. So she's bringing the therapists community. The AI Collective brings in the AI engineer community, and we all discuss. There is no right or wrong answer most of the time, but we do address issues that are very important to address. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is that we decided that we were going to do a 6-session series, and then we're going to end in a rooftop, hopefully, in the summer, and do yoga together. And that's how we're going to end the series. But having some sort of structure and knowing that we're going to do it every month kind of allowed me and other people in the team to plan things ahead, and that helped. That said, it's still very hectic. I mean, the events business on its own is I think it attracts a lot of people who can be okay with unknowns. A lot of people with ADHD, because you really have to be okay with something going wrong last minute. So we have Maddie and Gina in the team, and they're much more structured in their way of living. So they freak out most of the time. They're like, do we have the speaker? Do we have the venue? And I'm like, it's okay. It's all going to be fine. And if it doesn't go well, we tried our best. But going back to your question, how do you not burn out, is plan in advance. I think that's been my go-to KPI. So now we have the venue for the next 3 months. Can you imagine? We have a venue that's locked. We have the dates.
That's pretty big. That's pretty major. Yeah.
So that really lifts that stress off of your shoulder instead of trying to find a venue 2 weeks in advance. So that would be my 2 cents. Like, really have a group of people who are interested in around the same topic, and start a series instead of doing one-offs here and there. That is harder, in my opinion.
I agree. Let's switch it up for now and go through some segments where we're trialing some segments that may or may not show up in future story times. But let's start with something that I have completely just taken from this tennis podcast that I really enjoy listening to. So this is not mine. There's no credit here, or no credit to me. There is credit here, but it's credit to the Players Box, which is this, I think, great tennis podcast that some of the top female players do. But they do this thing called Unforced Error of the Week. And it's basically, in tennis terms, an unforced error is you miss a shot that you could have made. It's not a forced error or a winner, which would be more out of your control. And applying that to humans, it's an error or mistake this week that you made, you could have avoided if you just thought differently or acted a bit differently, but you didn't because you're human. So, Elif, do you have an unforced error of the week to share?
I failed at work. I failed big time.
Okay.
And I actually created a post about it and posted it in our internal Twitter like a website and celebrating my failure. I applied for innovation awards within my institution. It's like it's a big deal. You get $500,000 to implement your projects. And I had this
Wow.
excellent AI project that I thought was excellent. And
Yes.
I saw cracks honestly after submitting it, but I was like, maybe I want to see the cracks. and anyway, so I passed my team, and I brought senior people, and I brought a team of like 10 people, and it was a big effort, and then we passed the first stage, which was already a big deal. Only 4 projects passed, and then we didn't get the award. And it was a very humbling moment because I was like, okay, this doesn't feel great, and I'll sit with it. I will enjoy my little failure and not let success define my character, which is a problem that I see in the modern world, especially in American culture, where we measure our humanity or like based on our output and success. So it was like, this sucks, and I like that this sucks type of moment.
I feel like it's still pretty impressive you got to the top 4. It sounds like, right, that is what happened.
It was, but it still didn't go through at the end of the day.
There, fine, I'll accept it. I feel like my unforced error is gonna sound much different, but that's the point. So okay, noted. Failure is failure. Let me not get in the way of you processing your failure. Yes, my unforced error. So I don't know how often you have your phone on Do Not Disturb, but I have it at night. Usually I'll Do Not Disturb naturally because I'm trying to sleep. And a friend was gonna call me or was planning on calling me Friday night, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna sleep, but just call me twice because apparently that gets the Do Not Disturb off. And yeah, he didn't end up calling me, so I woke up, or I thought he did it, and I woke up the next morning. I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I see 2 missed calls, and I was like, oh, and it didn't go through. So I think there's something wrong with my settings, but I felt very bad because I was very confident. I was like, just call twice, it'll go through, and it didn't. So we're gonna have to investigate that. But I felt bad. But have you experienced that where like you call twice and it goes through the Do Not Disturb, or have you've not encountered that?
I don't really use Do Not Disturb. I just leave my phone in the living room.
Yeah.
But I will look into it. I did not know.
Okay, we'll have an update next episode. I think that works because you have a home or like more of a house situation versus the studio that I'm in. Like the living room is the bedroom. Like
you live in New York, I live in DC.
Yes. That leads to the next thing I wanted to ask, which is DC versus New York. As you just said, I'm in New York versus you in DC. So one thing this week you think that DC has over New York, like something that's just been in your mind?
Oof. So yesterday, it was DC Climate Week last week.
Okay.
So I have a plot in the community garden. So my friend Nesma, who is a founder of a creative studio called We Care Impact, and I hosted an event for people who came to DC Climate Week, and we brought them to my garden. We did like a seeding workshop. It was excellent. It was so nice to have people who talk about how important our nature is, and we need to protect the environment, and be able to bring them into a community garden and have them touch grass.
And you don't feel like that could happen in New York? Do you feel like
there was a period where I was contemplating moving to New York, and I looked at community gardens in New York. They look smaller than my house in DC.
Yeah, they're pretty small.
So DC over New York, nature, green spaces, and the ability to grow your own food. I don't think you
Okay.
can beat that.
Fair. I'll give you that. My thing's also about nature, though, so that's funny because I was gonna say the
Mm.
High Line, which me and the High Line were very close geographically. That's right. There's a chat going on in case if you're seeing, small is not bad. I think that's one for New York. But the High Line, also green space, one of the fewer ones in the city, but it's this old railroad that's been reconstructed as a pedestrian walkway between like 33rd, 34th, and West Village area. And it's very close to the water. And something that I think, besides that being very distinct to New York, is the height of the buildings, which DC definitely is smaller and shorter on that regard. So I think I walked the High Line twice today. We'll see how many more times this week because it's so convenient. But I think the New York landscape of all of the skyscrapers and the sunsets and the sunrises, it's something that I think you could get in a different way in DC. But yeah, I would say it's pretty unique. Next week we'll do New York tech event culture versus DC event tech culture.
I have so much to say about.
I feel like I've been taking a break more from events, so we might have to go to an event or one or two to actually see what's happening. Let's talk about another segment, maybe personal operating system. Hello, Bella. Welcome to the live. Any personal operating systems, like any rituals you're testing for habits, tools, productivity, what's working, what's not, anything recently that you're trying?
I feel like everyone around me is obsessed with obsidian nowadays. I don't know how you
No, that's bad. It's not technically competitor, but
and
continue.
I am back to taking notes with my pen and pencil and little notebook.
Nice. Where did you get that from? People might want to know.
This?
Yeah.
This is a Prada notebook.
Wow. So did you go into the Prada store to buy that?
No, it was a gift.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't. It was. They gifted it when I purchased something for my birthday. By the way, I got something small for myself, and they gifted it. But I have anyways. So I am back to writing notes with my pen and paper because I'm realizing, like, as much as I want to try this digital brain and your second brain, and I think Karpathy wrote a blog about it recently where he uses obsidian to create a knowledge graph, and I really want to try it out. It's in my never-ending to-do list to see how to use that with my Notion. But I have not tried it yet. But there is something to say about pen and paper. I don't know. I am an old soul, you know me. I
do know that.
I just love my pen. What about you?
First on the second brain point, what I say is think about the first brain before you think about the second brain. What about this one before you try to create a second? So food for thought. I think I also love a pen and paper, pen and notebook. I definitely feel like that's part of it. I think a new ritual is deep cleaning my place. Okay, I've done it once, so I don't know if it can be a ritual yet. But I got like that dust Swiffer, like where you can just get rid of the dust, which is huge. I was like cleaning my mirrors. I don't know. I think there's something to be said about maintaining your space. And I think especially in New York, it can be quite underrated or not conventional to do that for some people. But I think I've noticed that, especially this past week, like it really makes a difference in my attitude, my motivation, even just enjoying the space. And I think that is something we'll check in on because I've only done it once. But I'm doing another housewarming. I don't know if you can have two housewarmings when I'm doing it. I'm doing a second housewarming this Friday, and I'm going to clean before that. So I think we'll have another update. Okay, one more segment. Any book, piece of literature, article, piece in general, what are you reading to or listening to right now that's inspiring you?
Ooh, I have so many books that I'm going in between. Um, you know, let me bring them. I've
Okay.
been
Okay, bring it
one
over. Bring
one
it over.
second.
Take your time. Also gonna adjust this mic and see if maybe I could lift the phone higher a bit so it's able to capture more of my face. Okay, that's a little bit better.
Okay.
No, it's not. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Ready. We're
okay.
ready.
Number one, it's funny enough. I saw this in Cosmos Institute's blog about
Oh, good.
they asked their audience what's their favorite book, and
Yeah.
one of them was this. I mean, Heidegger
Ooh,
is not new to me.
theme and
I had
time.
I had read it back in college, but I was like, interesting, because I feel very aligned with what Cosmos Institute is trying to do. So I wanted to take a look at what their readers are reading. So this is
Yes.
number one. Number two is this little book that I've
The
been
disappearance
enjoying.
of rituals. Okay.
Yes, this is super interesting. That talks about how in this modern world we've kind of lost touch with traditions and
Mm,
rituals. And you know how I love hosting things around, there was spring, and I say there's a reason ancient civilizations celebrated spring with Nowruz or Easter, because nature wakes up, and that's when the new year should start. So
yeah.
I really think those rituals keeps us human and anchors us to move with nature. So it talks about how we lost touch with that in modern world. I'll show two more, then I'll stop.
Yeah.
This
By
is
all
a
means.
world beyond physics. I find it a little difficult to read. It's really not in my domain. Like you see, there are figures
Oh,
of
those
um,
are figures. Yes. Yes.
but it basically like pushes me to think beyond this three-dimensional world where I know for a fact that my eyes can only see seven colors, but I know others exist, right?
Mhm.
So we tend to think that what we can't see doesn't exist, or we over rationalize everything in life and push the feelings or things that we can't really touch or see. So it's a reminder to open my mind. And the last one is about ADHD, living with ADHD. It's Dr. Gabor Mate's book that talks about the underlying reasons of why you have a mind that's scattered, which is super interesting to read. And I'll
Wow.
stop there.
How are you reading 4 books at once?
I
Tell
have
us your
ADHD.
ways. You are living your ADHD life.
Yeah, I mean, I think I go back and forth between them, because just like, yeah, that's how I read. I don't know. How about
Okay.
you?
Okay. I have one book. I do
Okay.
not have as many as you. Oh, I almost tripped, but I did it. That's what matters, guys. You might trip, but you don't. But if you don't, you're good. All right, let's see. Okay, this is
Apple, the first 50
Apple, the first
years.
50 years. And I've only read the last page. I don't know if you do that too. I always read the last page of the book before I do anything
Mm,
else. And it talks about what it takes to make an excellent product and how much time and effort it goes into it, which sounds simple, but very hard to execute. I think something we talk a lot about at Notion is the level of craft that it takes to make a great product. We're very inspired by Apple Notion,
yeah.
and I think it will be a good reminder of how to make great things. And yes, a lot of it is prototyping and testing, but a lot of it too is how well you can execute, which kind of go hand in hand. Okay, let's see what segments survive after after this episode. Let's wrap up with any stories we want to talk about in the next few weeks we do this. Anything that is coming to mind. I think while I give you a second to think, I think one thing I want to talk about is this companion live event that we did as we were doing a virtual event. I've talked to you about this offline,
Mm,
but it's a little different when you are trying to pair an in-person event with something that's going on virtually already, because I think on one hand you learn a lot, but then you also, I don't know, it creates this weird dynamic of the whole point of it being a virtual event is that everybody can be involved, but then when you do live events, it's inherently just based on either geography or interest. And I think there's ways to go. I think there are definitely a lot of things I learned from that of what to do and what not to do. So I think I'm going to think about it a bit more. And I was going to talk about it today, but I think we were able to talk about other things that made more sense. So yeah, I think I do want to talk about that. So that will be something I'm thinking about for next week. What about you, Ms. Elif?
I read today that Google DeepMind hired a philosopher,
I
and
saw that.
and I think Anthropic has already done that. I think I want to yap a little bit about why these tech companies are now looking at hiring philosophers and what does that mean. As you know, I always talk about the importance of having a humanities background in this day and age. And I say AI is way too important to leave at the hands of software engineers who haven't studied ethics and sociology, philosophy, psychology, anything that requires systems thinking. And so I would like to yap about that.
Yeah, great. I'm sure there will be a great story there. This has been a storytime episode with Sam and Elif on Cities Decoded, where we break down what happens when artificial intelligence meets the nation's cities. If you're listening or watching on Substack, please consider recommending us. It really helps us reach new audiences. If you are listening or watching on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, please consider liking and subscribing, giving us a 5-star review. It also helps us reach new audiences. And we'll be doing this for the next few Sundays. So if you want a little Sunday story to go into your week, please join us again. Feel free to contribute any stories that you might have. We'll be asking for those as well for future episodes. And until next Sunday at the latest, we'll see you guys then. Take care. Bye.